Hey everybody, we are back with a new series in which we will be solving PYQs, and this will be in accordance with the STEP program. And what we are doing is basically analyzing PYQs of different years. तो basically होता क्या है कि when we are analyzing PYQs, we just solve the PYQ and get to the answer. If our answer is correct, we don't seem to get into much nuances of it, and we think just our work is done. But ऐसा होता नहीं है, क्योंकि there are different things associated with a PYQ, in which in this series what we will be doing, we will be solving a PYQ. This is the PYQ. This is from UPSC CSE 2021. We will be solving this, and then we will be checking the answers simultaneously after we have solved all these, in which I can also make mistakes. You can also make mistakes. You can relate to the mistakes. You can edit your mistakes, and this is the time where you learn from your mistakes. So basically what we have to do is basically learn from our mistakes. The more we learn from our mistakes, the less is the probability that we will be doing wrong in the main examination. It's not a matter whether a teacher does it or whether a student does it. Likely so, you have to see in configuration with the current exam scenario. If a teacher is there, he is focused on one subject, but you have to see multiple subjects. In course of your multiple subjects revision, you might seem like you are feeling lonely. The best thing you can do while preparing for this exam is to solve in groups, is to discuss in groups. If you discuss in groups, solve in groups, and then you find a perfect touch, a perfect tinge of your complete idea, then you will be really accessible, really that much ready for your D-Day. So let's start this and let's see up to where we can cover, and we will be doing this quite regularly to solve these PYQs, as this PYQ solving will enhance your brain capacity, my brain capacity. So let's be like a team. Let's go deep dive into that, and then we can really get prepared for the D-Day examinations. Okay, so let me first go to the first question. The first question is, which among the following steps is most likely to be taken at the time of an economic recession? So do we need to know what is an economic recession? Economic recession? Yes, there are two cycles. One is recession and one is of growth. So recession means हिंदी में मंदी. In layman language, what do you think of recession? Recession means a particular product is there, Britannia biscuits, rupees 5. Do we need to buy this biscuit? Yes. Why not? We are hungry, we need to buy these biscuits. But we have only rupees 4 with us. Why? Because of the recession that has occurred. Why is there a recession? Because the companies are not being able to sell their products, because of which they are cutting down on workforce. I have lost my job. How can I then pursue myself to buy this rupees 5 biscuit? For this, what has the government to do? To balance this economic growth, recession, inflation, we have the monetary policy. Monetary policy targets inflation. It has been given the target, the RBI has been given the target to basically regulate the monetary policy, and it regulates it. But is monetary policy fully sustainable? Is monetary policy the only way the government can push in through growth or pull out from recession? No. What we need is both a mixture of fiscal plus monetary. If we have both fiscal and monetary, then we can go to the next step where we do inflation targeting. So we have understood what economic recession is. A recession is a period in which the growth slows down and it basically goes into the negative territory. We were growing at 10%. 2 quarters we grew at 6%, 6%. Okay. 3 quarters, third quarter we grew, fourth quarter we grew at 5% or so. When the growth starts sliding, when growth is negative in the 2 quarter cycles, then we can say that we are slipping into the recession cycle. And for to pull out from recession, what the government can do, cut in tax rates. Yes, this is correct, accompanied by an increase in interest rate. The fiscal policy is right, but the monetary policy is not. If you increase the interest rate, loans will be much more dearer, much more dearer to the public, much more dearer to the investor. So this is not sustainable. This is not desirable in this condition. If you increase the interest rate, nobody will take loans and the growth will drop, because when people take loans, they build infrastructure, they make new investments. Okay, when these new investment kick in, jobs kick in, and then you have much more demand in the market. When the demand in the market comes, supply side constraints are removed and the economy grows. So this first one is not the answer. Let's come to the second one, increase in expenditure on public project. Okay, what will this do? Increase in expenditure, government expenditure increases. This will put more people on jobs. More people on jobs means there will be more money in hand. More money in hand means there will be demand in the market. When demand kicks in, then supply side constraints begin to get resolved, and thus supply in the market comes up, and thus we have a better economic growth. B can be considered. Let us take B as the answer. Okay, for the moment. Let's see, are there any more options which can be more right than this one? The third one, the increase in tax rates accompanied by reduction of interest rate. Okay, increase in tax rates. अभी तो हमने कमाया और उसमें से सरकार कह रही है कि आधा 20% मुझे दे दो, ठीक है, मेरे और भी ज़रूरत के खर्चे हैं, तो मैं और जो खर्चे हैं वो करूँगा कैसे? मुझे गाड़ी लेनी है अगर, तो टैक्स रेट्स अगर ज़्यादा होंगे तो मैं गाड़ी नहीं ले पाऊँगा, गाड़ी नहीं ले पाऊँगा, मार्केट में डिमांड क्रिएट ही नहीं होगी. Now the reduction of expenditure on public projects, B and D are completely opposite. So we have to have one of them as the answer, because in C they are saying increase in tax rates. The fiscal policy is wrong over here. Reduction in interest rate, yes, this is correct. The monetary policy is right over here. But both in tandem do not work. Okay, so A and C are ruled out, B and D are there. B and D, what do you see? What is more logical? To put more money in the pockets? Creation of demand, that is over there. So the right answer is B For the question 1, the right answer is B. So whenever a question comes on inflation, whenever a question comes upon recession, growth, keep in mind both the sector means the fiscal policy of the government and the monetary policy of RBI, both have to work in tandem. Whenever a question comes about monetary policy, fiscal policy, always think about them in tandem, because if you don't think about them in tandem, you can put a cut in tax rates. Yes, it can be a great thing. You can cut tax rates on a car, the car becomes cheaper, market demand pulls in, the supply side constraints get abated, and you get economic growth. But this increase in interest rate will make the supply side constraint much higher. Okay, because if you don't get a loan, you cannot put a new car factory for the demand to fulfill the demand. When you don't fulfill the demand, what happens? Inflation increases, there is increase in interest rate, and the vicious cycle start continuing. So you come to a point where you fall into a trap. Okay, so both the fiscal and the monetary policy must act in tandem. Okay, so let's go to the question number 2. Increase in absolute. For the first question, we have B as the answer. We will check it after we have completed all. Increase in absolute and per capita real GNP do not connote a higher level of economic development if. Question says increase in absolute and per capita GNP. What is GNP? Gross National Product. Okay, if this is a GDP, okay, GDP of a country, what does this mean? The amount of goods and services produced within the boundary of the country, within the country, this is GDP. GNP, when we calculate the net by subtracting the depreciation, okay, do not connote a higher level of economic development. GNP is increasing, but economic development is not happening. Why? Economic development is not happening. Why? Because GNP might be concentrated in a few hands. All the people might not be getting the trickle down effect of this GNP. Okay, I can see there are options. Industrial output fails to keep pace with agricultural output. But what it has to do, if this output and this output are not in tandem, no matter if one of them also grows, the GNP grows. It does not mean that every sector must grow. Some sector might have a windfall gain in its share, maybe have a lion's share. Okay, agriculture output keeps to fail pace with industrial output. I don't see anything substantial over here. Poverty and unemployment increases. Yes. Higher level of economic development, poverty and unemployment must decrease with GNP increase. When GNP increases, this poverty and unemployment decreases. Okay. So the paradox over here is your GNP is increasing, but your economic development is not. Okay, so this might be the answer. Imports grow faster than exports. When we have a total GDP which is quite large, okay, imports driven economy or exports driven economy, okay, you are producing as much as a pie is there. Okay, if the pie is growing, okay, if the pie is growing, you get more share of the pie. Okay, but if the pie is growing on expense of exports or on the expense of imports, it doesn't matter. Economic development has some indicators: poverty, unemployment, education. illiteracy, this kind of things over there. Okay, so the right answer is 2, C. Despite being a high saving economy, capital formation may not result in significant increase in output due to. What does this mean? High saving economy. We have learnt about the circular flow of economy. Okay, the circular flow of economy in which the savings are here, these go to the bank puts in money into loan creates infra creates jobs, we get the salary, then again we put. This is the cycle in which the money revolves, rotates in our system, the circular flow of money. Okay, but they are saying if this saving increases, the loan increases, the loan increases, infra increases, more saving comes. Okay, but capital formation, high saving economy, increase in output, what does all this in tandem means? It is saying about capital output ratio, which is capital output ratio is capital employed per unit of output. Okay, if I put rupees 1 and I get output of 1 unit, fine. If I put rupees 2, I get an output of 2 units. Then we can say the capital output ratio increases 1 rupee per unit. Now, if we increase the capital and substantially the output increases, like when capital is rupees 1 and the output is 2 units. Okay, when we increase the capital by 1.5, the output increases to 3. When we increase the capital by 1.9, the output increases to 4. What is happening? First unit, you had a substantial amount of capital. You had to put 1 rupees to produce 2 units. But when you put in 0.5 only, you get 3 units. When you put 0.9, you got 4 units. Means the initial capital which was there was substantially more, and as incrementally we kept putting on all these capitals, we started getting much more a kind of these outputs. So what is becoming efficient over here? The capital is becoming more efficient. Okay, and this capital efficiency is due to good administrative machinery, due to more literacy, due to less population density and everything. Whatever these 2 points, 3 points over here is written, they all are true. Okay, because in a high saving economy, you cannot have a weak administrative machinery, because when you have a weak administrative machinery, the capital you will be putting will go in corruption, might not be fully utilized. People would be working for, let's say, 48 hours, in which 20 hours they would be just swaying here and there. Okay, so all these are covered under option D, high capital output ratio. If you have a high capital output ratio, then this complete capital output ratio decimates the whole concept of a high capital saving economy, because capital formation completely depends upon this 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 is the capital formation, and this capital formation will be better when the capital utilized per unit of output is lower. Okay, this ratio must not be high. This ratio must be less. If you incrementally keep putting upon money in that and that produces a substantial amount of output, then that is the best guess. If this capital output ratio becomes low, this capital output ratio comes down, it's better for the economy, because for the same amount of capital you are generating much more output. Okay, that lowers down the cost, your exports will be competitive, you can capture the market in the domestic economy also, and thus it's a win-win situation. Let's go to question 4. The national income of a country for a given period is equal to. This is prelims 2013 question. As I have solved it before, there is an inherent bias. Okay, let me tell this before I solve this question, because this question the answer is D. Okay, but what is this? Money value of final goods and services produced. Isn't this GDP? Okay, national income is not equal to GDP. This we know, because what is GDP? This is GDP. When you add net factor income from abroad, what does this become? This becomes GNP. Okay, when you just minus indirect taxes plus subsidy, it becomes GNP at market at factor cost. Okay, when you minus the depreciation, it becomes NNP. The national income is this one, NNP. Okay, so it's completely at that point of time in 2013, in 2015 we have changed our criteria. Okay, so let us skip this question. Economic growth in a country X will necessarily have to occur if there is a technical progress in the world economy, there is population growth in X, there is capital formation in X, the volume of trade grows in the world economy. Economic growth in a country X will necessarily have to occur if. What does growth mean over here? Growth means when the capital formation in an economy increases each year. If we have the capital formation in our economy increasing each year, then the economic growth will increase. Okay, so the right answer is C. So there are two types of capital formation. There are gross fixed capital formation and there is capital formation plus inventories and some cash. Okay, cash and special jewels like that. Okay, this gross fixed capital formation is like machinery, infra, and those capital goods which we produce which are not transferable, which are not what you can say, if this is a pen and I am using this pen to create some service, okay, this is a capital good. Okay, but if this pen was being transformed into a biscuit, okay, then it is not a capital good. So we have to know the difference between a capital good and an intermediate good. Okay, if the electricity we are using at our home, okay, to run fans, to run tube lights, okay, what are they? They are consumer goods. Okay, but if we are using that electricity to produce a flour, produce, if we have a atta chakki, okay, we need to produce flour and that we sell in the market, then that electricity becomes an intermediate good. Okay, but if we use that electricity and produce a tractor, that tractor is the capital good. Okay, and that tractor remains a capital good throughout its life. You cannot transform a tractor into a biscuit, you cannot transform a tractor into a different machinery part. Okay, so that is a capital good. Okay, so the capital formation in an economy will have great economic growth. Okay, so rather than exporting our capital goods, if we are utilizing our capital goods in our country, we are doing wonders. If we are importing capital goods and we are utilizing our capital good over here, then what we are doing, we are making gross fixed capital formation, and that gross fixed capital formation will lead to an increase in the GDP. Okay, question 6. GDP deflator captures the average price of an unchanging basket of commodities that constitute the GDP of the country. GDP deflator can be used to measure the real GDP of the economy but not the inflation rate. This question asks about GDP deflator. GDP deflator is used to get real GDP from nominal GDP. Okay, this nominal GDP is calculated at market prices. Okay, and to get the real GDP, we just divide the nominal GDP but GDP deflator and we get the real one. Okay, and real GDP when we get, this is at constant prices. This GDP deflator, what does it show? The GDP deflator shows inflation. Okay, our benchmark is 2011-12. Okay, what we were producing over here, the whole concept of real GDP is that each year inflation increases, so the market prices increases. So have we really produced more than that year, more than the preceding year or not? Because inflation increases, the GDP will increase, but to maintain that, the deflator we use pushes down, that compresses the GDP. Okay, 200, 100. Okay, this is market price today for 1 unit. This is market price at that time, 2011-12. Okay, this is 200, this is 100. The GDP is 100, the GDP is 200. Today the GDP is 200. But have we produced an additional unit to make it 200? No, this is because of inflation that it has become 200. This is because 100, the 100 over here was 100. Okay, this is 200 over here. We haven't produced anything because 1 unit we were producing, 1 unit of biscuit we were producing, 1 unit of biscuit we will be producing in 2011-12. 1 unit of biscuit we are producing today only. Okay, we are not growing, we are not increasing our output. What we are just thinking, our GDP has grown twofold. No, the GDP hasn't grown twofold. It's the nominal GDP that has grown. Okay, because the real GDP, which we will calculate, will be calculated at constant prices. 1 unit you were producing is 2011-12, and 1 unit you are producing in 2022-23. It's the same 23-24. It's the same. We haven't increased our production capacity. We have just remained happy on that inflation is increasing and GDP is increasing. Okay, so GDP deflator can be used to measure the real GDP of the economy, but not the inflation rate is wrong. GDP deflator actually measures the inflation. Okay, so GDP deflator captures the average price of an unchanging basket of commodities that constitutes the GDP of the country. How can we say this the unchanging basket when we have CPI, the WPI, okay, the unchanging basket we see? No, the GDP deflator is just calculated using the nominal GDP and the real GDP. The CPI, WPI, these are having baskets which we are accounting. Okay, we aren't doing so. Okay, we aren't doing for GDP deflator. We need a basket of goods. We need to calculate all those accounting and nothing to do. GDP deflator is considered used as we get GDP deflator just by doing nominal GDP upon real GDP. So the answer is neither one, neither two. Okay. So the level of per capita GDP depends upon which of the following? Level of per capita GDP, yes, it depends upon proportion of population in the working age. What is level of per capita GDP? Level of per capita GDP divided by population. Okay, this all things are covered into this one. Okay, which one of the following statement is not correct? Real GDP is calculated by valuing outputs of different years at common prices. Valuing outputs of different years at common prices. Constant. Potential GDP is the real GDP that the economy would produce if its resources were fully employed. Yes, it is right. This is the curve. This is the potential GDP curve, and the real GDP comes and goes like this. If it is on the upper side, it's called an inflationary gap. If on the lower side, it is a recessionary gap. Okay, so this one is correct. This one is not correct. Nominal GDP is calculated by valuing outputs of different years at constant prices. No, nominal GDP is at market prices. Real GDP per capita is the ratio of real GDP divided by population. Per capita means the population we have. So the not correct is this one, A. A situation where equilibrium level of real GDP falls short of potential GDP is known as, this is recessionary gap. Which one of the following equals personal disposable income? So what is personal disposable income? Okay, when you get your salary, a direct tax is deducted from it. Okay, if you have any fee penalty, that also is deducted from it. When everything is over, when you have paid taxes to the government, the fees, the electricity bills and everything, you have whatever things you have due to the creditors, that's all that you did settled up, you settled, and then you have received something like rupees 5,000 or something like from your salary. That is personal disposable income. This you can use to buy your goods. It may be a sophisticated lunch in the restaurant, a refrigerator, electricity, electrical fan, or anything that you want to buy, you need to buy from here. Suppose your salary is 60,000. Okay, the taxes you paid is 10,000 50,000 is there. Okay. There were fines 5,000. You got 45,000. Okay. Then you had fees. What kind of fee? The municipality fee, the garbage disposal fee, and everything. You had rupees 5,000 as this. 40,000 is your personal disposable income. Okay. That is personal income minus direct taxes paid by the households and miscellaneous fees, fines, etc. Okay. Let's go to the next one. The value of all final goods and services produced by the normal residents of a country and their property, whether operating within the domestic territory of the country or outside in an year, is termed as, what is this? This is GDP. Okay. Then we consider net factor income from abroad. What does this make? GNP. This is gross national income. So this is the value of all final goods and services produced by the normal residents of a country and their property, whether operating within the domestic territory. This is within the domestic territory, and this is on the foreign territory, but you are resident of India only. Okay. So this makes GNP. This is gross national income. National product at factor cost is equal to national product at factor cost is equal to what we have done. This is gross national product. The same thing is over here. That is this is GDP. This is NFIA. This is GNP. Okay. So what is this at? This is at market prices, because this is also at market prices. If you need to do at factor cost, what do you need to do? GNP at factor cost is equal to national GNP minus indirect tax plus subsidies. This is your answer. In national income accounts, personal income is defined as. So this is a really tough question to crack. So let's go to question 14 and then we will jump to question 13. Okay. The amount by which equilibrium level of real GDP exceeds the full employment level of GDP is called the same thing over here. This is potential GDP. Okay. And whenever you go, this is and this is called an inflationary goal. Okay. So let's come to question 13. National income, personal income is defined as. We know both things, the national income as well as the personal income. We have already decided on this. National income minus undistributed profits, net interest payments made by the whole households, corporate tax, transfer payments, households from the government and firms. National income, undistributed profits, corporate tax, transfer payment to households from the government and firms. Let's think about it. So what we have national income and we need to find personal income. What is personal income? Personal income is all about national income minus undistributed profits. Okay. Then we have to minus the corporate tax, then transfer payments to households from the government. Do you know what is this? These all are these social welfare schemes. Maiya Samman Yojana and then Ladli Behna Yojana. This is going to your personal disposable income. Suppose a lady is earning rupees 5,000. Okay, and then rupees 500 is put in into her account by the government. Now she has a 5500 pool in which she can buy different types of goods. Okay, so this one will be a plus factor in her income. So whenever there is a plus of transfer payment, we have the correct answer. So this one and this one, we can take three of them. Okay, so the answer is not solved yet. Okay, now what we need to do, the next net interest payments made by the households. Okay, net interest payment, where is this payment made to? This is made to the banks. Okay, so the does this make any difference? Yes. Minus undistributed profits minus corporate tax. So I think the answer will be B, because undistributed profits, then corporate tax, when these two when these two have been distributed, okay, then you get a complete national income minus those corporate profits and everything. Then government puts in rupees 500. This is your personal disposable income. Now it's the time to check our answers. Okay, the first one is B. Question number 1, B. So let's change the pen color. Yes, this one is B. We are correct. Question 2. What is question 2? Question 2 C, question 3 D. Question 2 C, question 3 D. Yes, we are right. 2 C, question 3 D. Question 4. There is inherent bias. Okay. Question 5. Economic growth in the country X. Question 5 C. Question 6 D. Question 5 C. Question 6 D. Yes, we are right. Question 7 D. Question 8 B. Question 8 A. Okay. 7D 8A. 7D 8C. Okay, we did something wrong over here. Okay. Nominal GDP is calculated by valuing outputs at different year. We wrote over here the market prices, but we ticked up over here the A. No, this one is C. Okay, sorry for that. Question 9A, question 10A. Question 9A, question 10A. Okay, question 9A, question 10A. Question 11 we have A, question 12 we have B. Question 11 we have A, question 12 we have B. B. Question 13 we have A, question 14 we have B. 13 we have A, question 14 we have B. So this question we did it wrong after so much of calculation and everything. What we missed over here? This one. This corporate tax is calculated before the national income, and there we lagged. Okay, this is a learning for us, and we will be back in the next video with this learning. We will be doing our PYQ analysis from this question only. We will be back we will learn about this, and then we will take it on. Doing mistakes over here is completely fine. If you don't do mistakes over here, you will do it in the exam, and that day you will be the one who will be thinking how futile I was. That this question, if I had done that mistake over there, that would have remained in my mind. Okay, so bye bye, see you in the next video. Thank you.